Travel and Things in association with Sun Destinations, iconic destinations with amazing experiences, present in conversation with. I'm your host, David Batsoffen, and I'm joined today by the general manager of the Turbine Boutique Hotel and Spa, and that's Kate Christie. Kate, good morning. Welcome to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on this morning.
It's only a pleasure, and thank you for getting up so early. I know you are not a morning person.
Well, 8 o'clock is normally when the workday starts, but
Fair enough.
not with having to look so presentable and be wide awake.
But don't they say a general manager's work is never done?
Absolutely 100% correct. You never know what call is going to happen at what time, and you always got to be on your toes.
Fair enough. So let's have a look. This hotel started off as a power station in 1939, I believe, and then was decommissioned and then brought back to life by the new owners. Why?
That's correct. Yes. So Knysna and Thesen Island especially was the heart of the logging industry in the area, and there was a large sawmill on Thesen Island, and the power station had provided power for the logging industry as well
Hmm?
as the town and surrounds. And when times changed and that industry came to a close. They decided to turn the area into a tourist destination and develop the island more along tourist ideas. And this building, which is a heritage site, was left, and nobody quite knew what to do with it. Um, they were going to turn it into a museum, and who knows what happens with museums these days. And the idea was born to turn it into a boutique hotel. So very unique. Yeah.
It is indeed because you find bits and bobs all over the place of its past life, of its previous incarnation, including a letter hanging in your reception from one of the restoration societies to say, "Well done, and you've done a great job at the a correct restoration."
Exactly. It is a heritage building. It's a listed building. So when they did the development, changing it from the power station to the hotel, they had to work within some very strict parameters.
Mm.
And we still have to work within those parameters today. And keeping a lot of the features of the building, like our iconic chimney stacks that give us our silhouette, which is used in our logo. I had the pleasure of being the person to organize the repainting of those chimney stacks last year, which the last time that was done, they were able to get a crane in and do it because
Mm.
there wasn't development around the building.
And now?
It was interesting. They set up rigging using a drone. And then the
You
guys literally abseiled up and down the chimney stacks painting them. So my heart and my grey hairs definitely needed a visit to the hairdresser after that. The guys were amazing and they got it done, and our chimney stacks are restored and looking beautiful again.
Because I was going to jokingly say, is it true that the first guest to climb up that ladder and ring the bell at the top gets a free stay? But obviously, it's been done already.
Well, we also in part of our providing services for the community, should we say, we work with one of the Wi-Fi providers, and they actually have the equipment on top of our chimney stack. So instead of one of those unsightly tree-looking towers
Yeah,
that look nothing like trees, it's just neatly placed at the top of there, providing most of Knysna with
with
internet connectivity.
Wi-Fi. So instead of providing power, it's now providing Wi-Fi. And talking about trees, this one caught my attention. Because in Joburg, that 30-kilometer sign would have been covered over. But no, outside the Turbine Hotel, they cut neatly around the outside so that you can see it.
We pride ourselves on attention to detail.
I
And
got
the
to say,
joke is, I think that's the only 30 speed sign on the whole of Thesen Island, and it's in a really strange place. So we've got to proudly make sure it's out there and being seen by everybody.
why not indeed? This is the reception area. I didn't notice the floor until my second or third sort of out and back. And then I realized that glass, I've been on something similar to that before in Auckland, but that was 284 meters in the air. And you stand on glass and you look straight down. It's the scariest thing. And that glass is thicker than cement.
Correct. So that actually tells part of the story of
Mm.
the power station. So you can't, when you're standing on the glass, you look down, you'll see very large pipes, three very large pipes, and they were actually the inlet and outlet water pipes
Mm.
for the steam generation. And the level that those pipes are at, about, I think it's about 2.5 meters down from the glass floor. That was actually the original level of Thesen Island. And what you see around it has actually been built up to support the development and increase
Mm.
traffic and building on the island. So
Wow.
it shows the original pipes and a little bit of the history, as well as being a very cool feature.
It is indeed. And kiddies, I noticed, love standing on it because
Yeah.
they feel all big and brave because their parents are going, pardon me, you go. I'll stay here and take the pictures. Another one of your stacks also showing some of the accommodation.
Correct. So that's the hotel's made up of several different wings, and as I mentioned, with it being a heritage building, we had to be very careful, and you couldn't just knock walls down and do things.
Mm.
So the rooms are fitted in amongst the original building. And this wing was actually a shed in the old days, so it wasn't a permanent structure when it was a power station. And this is what we call our balcony suite wing of the hotel.
The view from those balconies, and we'll get to those in a minute, is very special. And given the correct weather conditions, you can flip photographs and nobody will know what's up and what's down. Also, just off the reception area, you have a wonderful spa. And it features in your hotel's name. I mean, that's how impressed you are with it.
It is. It does form a great part of our guest experience. You know, there's so much to do around Knysna that sometimes you just want to actually have a little bit of a pampering and a relax. So we've got a lovely spa. We've got five incredible therapists who've been with us for many years. And yeah, it's just one of those added things that we want to wow our guests with.
The interesting thing, pardon me, about being at the Turbine Hotel was the fact that normally my holidays include a bush visit of some sort, which means in summer you have to get up at 4:30. It's not really it's a holiday, but it's not really a holiday from a sleeping in point of view. But here,
Yeah.
if I wanted, I got up early because I wanted to take photographs. But if I wanted to sleep until 10 o'clock, I could have, and nobody would shout at me, except the colors that you've painted here, which shouted at me. This is not for the night after people. Those people who've had a night out drinking, don't walk in here in the early morning.
Yeah, stay on the other side. It's a little bit softer
It
and more
is
cozy.
indeed.
But the colors aren't just for fun. They tell the
Mhm.
colors again tell a story. So all the pipes are actually painted the colors that they would have been when it was an operating power station.
Right.
So and there's actually a color chart up on the gantry near
Mm.
our gastropub, which gives you what each color represents. So you've
Right.
got your orange, which is the hydraulics, blue for saltwater cooling. Yeah, so they actually, if you look at the color chart, you can actually tell the story when you walk through the hotel amongst the turbines of how it all worked together. If you technically mind it, not like me.
Kate, does any of this machinery still work? I mean, if you were to power it up, would it work?
Possibly it could. We had we did a little refurb, a lovely refurb not so long ago. And one of the things we did, we actually had to cut one of the pieces of pipe just
Mm.
to make some space. And the turbines have started crying after that. After 20 something years of stability, I've got
Mm.
one or two that are leaking oil suddenly out of a joint. And nobody can explain it. It must have been when that pipe was cut, a vacuum
Yeah.
was broken. So there seems to still be some hydraulic oil lingering about in there, which is now leaping out because I hurt it by cutting a pipe.
Now, this is more the morning after style.
Yes, yeah.
This is your island
The
restaurant.
Island Cafe, yes.
Yeah.
So in the Island Cafe, we serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. As you can see, it's nice and bright and more relaxing for
Mhm.
the morning breakfast crowd. And then in the evening, we've got beautiful fireplaces and soft lighting, and it comes together as a really nice, cozy, and elegant evening destination.
Now, your breakfasts here are somewhat different to the norm. You know, where you get a continental breakfast and then you get your regular full English. Here they arrive with like a stack of stuff, like you would for afternoon tea. You know, you'd have your scones and your biscuits and all of that. And that's placed on the table, and that's sort of the beginning of the meal. And I posted a picture recently of my breakfast, which was fruit salad with muesli with fruit kebabs. And I said, but relax, people, because I went from there to decadent pancakes with maple syrup and bacon, because you can, and well, you're on holiday.
You can. We try and steer away from the norm of the buffet style. We want our guests to have a unique experience, different.
Yeah.
And we it started with that three-tiered étagère started with the idea of how do you provide that sort of continental breakfast
Mm,
vibe with a what you selection you would kind of get on a buffet, but make it more personalized and for each table.
yeah.
So yes, breakfast can be quite a lavish affair with us, starting with that étagère, and as you said, going on to some honey butter toast, which is very sweet and decadent, or some nice eggs hollandaise or smoked salmon. Yeah, you can make an affair of it.
You can indeed. Now we go back to the views I was talking about earlier. Some people would call this balcony small. I call it intimate, but the view from there is just very special. Specifically in the early mornings. There we go. That's the one I'm looking for. Um,
That's
which is
stunning.
which is up and which is down, and I'm not going to. There's only one giveaway really, and I've just
I'll
realized
have
what
to
the
look at it in
giveaway
detail
is.
to check that.
Yeah. But it's this type
Yes,
of
it's
early morning.
incredible on the canals there
Yeah.
of Thesen Island. It's beautiful.
And what people don't realize is underneath each of these homes, there are spaces to park boats. So you can park your car on the top, get into the boat, and putter through the canals to go and visit friends if you wish.
Exactly. And there's no um police with roadblocks when you're on a boat.
Or speed limits.
Well, there are speed limits because in the canals it's a no wake zone, especially
Okay.
because of the seahorses and the marine wildlife that's there.
Mhm.
So there is a speed limit, so to speak, but yes, nobody breathalyzes you when you're driving a boat.
Just as a matter of interest, Kate, if somebody wanted to putter up to the Island Cafe, could they? Could they tie up outside and have dinner and then putter back home again?
There is some very limited moorings which are public on the
Mhm.
other side near Sirocco and Tapa's restaurant,
Right.
just across the way from us. But unfortunately, most of the moorings along outside the hotel are permanently occupied by
Okay.
commercial ventures who offer boat cruises and things like that.
Fair enough. Now, here's another space. This space is the link between the spa, the reception, the spa, the bar, and the Island Cafe. And this is again,
Correct.
it's an open and it's bright and I don't want to say blinding white because you've toned it down. It's just a wonderful space to sit and do nothing.
Yes, those skylights were a genius move when they built the hotel to let all that natural
Mm.
light in. But the hanging installation was part of our recent refurb, and that definitely makes a difference to just soften that light because it
Yeah.
can be quite in summer blinding. We do
Mm.
have some shade cloth we put on top to soften the light, but it's a beautiful bright open area. And that's, the lounge area. There's some tables in that area. And it's also a spot on the walls, you can see there's some artwork. It's a spot where we showcase some local artists with their works, and that's constantly changing. And those artworks are all for sale as well.
You you got there just before I did because I was going to say
Sorry.
this doubles ass. No, it's wonderful when people, because often people sit down, the art appeals to them because it fits in so nicely, and they'd like to take it home with them, and here they can. The only one I really wanted in the far corner, there is a bicycle. I wanted to buy
Uh,
that bicycle. I don't know if it's part of an art installation or if it's part of the decor of the hotel.
there's a bit of a story that that bicycle was found in an antique shop um, when the hotel was being built and the decor was being designed. And I've actually had a chap recently come in and say that bicycle belonged to his grandfather and he wanted to buy the bicycle. But we're attached to it. It's staying. Sorry.
And talking about those spaces, the food. This was lunch, and lunch became lunch and dinner because this was a generous portion. It really and truly was. It's no skimping down your way.
No, no, no. And I think my pant size reflects that too. I do eat very well at work. We're very blessed to have a fantastic chef, our
Mhm.
chef, executive chef, Greg Coleman. He's been with us for quite a few years and he creates beautiful food and his team just carries that through as well. And it's constantly changing. We change our menus. You know, we have our staples that have been on the menu and everybody loves that
Yeah.
don't change. But we always changing and we'll just change a dish here and a change there
Mm.
that sometimes people don't notice that it's not a big rah that we've got a whole new menu,
Yeah.
but you know, today you come and it's that, and tomorrow it's slightly tweaked and something different. So it's always very exciting.
Well, it just makes you want to read the menu because a lot of people, I should imagine, who live in the area and frequent this is just to come and enjoy a meal, are well versed with the menu. And when you, as you say, it's tweaked slightly, they go, "Oh, I didn't know that was available."
Yeah,
Yes, well, it's only been
exactly.
available from 10 minutes ago, type of thing. You're the first to try this out.
That's it. Yeah.
This is just another view of that same place that we saw earlier. The same walk. It's not quite a walkway. Does this area have a
We
name?
call it the courtyard. It
Okay.
actually used to be an open courtyard. It didn't have a roof on it when it was
Hmm.
the old power station. So it was sort of an open outside area, and then obviously it was enclosed to form
Yeah.
our lounge area now. Yeah.
And I'm sure, when the original power station was being utilized back in the 30s and 40s, the people working there would have loved to have this deck and this pool and this view while they were sweating away inside.
I'm sure they would have.
What's with the seahorse?
I was going to say, I don't know if you know the story of the seahorse.
Ah, you see, I got
That
there before you this time.
the seahorse, she actually features in the Guinness Book of World Records. She's
Wow.
the largest underwater sculpture ever made, and she was so she's made out of almost like a sort of a paper mache material,
Hmm.
and she was actually built underwater by a chap in scuba gear, and it was done in the Turbine swimming pool.
You kidding?
And
What?
I must check my facts because she's a little old now. I don't know if she's been surpassed an upgraded model, but
Yeah.
that's her story.
But now, what made A, the hotel, and B, the scuba diver thing? Hang on a second. I can create a seahorse underwater and get into the Guinness Book of World Records.
That part of the story, I must say, I'm not 100% sure. So that's some homework for me to do.
Fair enough. And we were chatting about the bits and bobs that are still left about. This is tucked away in the corner of the room we stayed in. Luckily tucked away because I should imagine if you're stumbling into the bathroom in the dark, you could stub your toe on this if it was more prominently placed. It's not. And yes, people, it is bolted into the wall, so you can't nick it and take it home with you. They do a room check
don't
before you.
don't try. They're very, very heavy.
I should imagine. Have you, with that in mind, Kate, have you lost smaller pieces? You know, a gauge here
We
and a
have
gauge there.
on you would have seen, especially on the cupboards in the rooms,
Mm,
there's small gauges that are stuck onto the cupboards. Obviously, those were all little bits and bobs that were lying around in the building when it was taken over, and they've been cleaned up and repurposed to form part of the decor. And
right.
unfortunately, we have lost a few with people wanting to take a memento and sort of unsticking them, but we've also got a drawer full of backups. So there are there are extras of things that weren't used in the original restoration, that
Okay.
we sometimes delve in and replace a part.
Now, this room is almost like a mini apartment because aside from the sleeping area, there's a small kitchen. There's also a full-on bathroom. This looks like out of Hollywood almost. It's a mixture of old and new, and it really, really works. Behind the wall is the toilet. You've also got a bath, which is unusual because a lot of properties don't do baths anymore. They do showers because it's, I suppose, easier and less plumbing work.
Well, I think especially in this area, so the garden route and Knysna Plate, especially, is known as a very water scarce area.
Mm,
And when they had the droughts a few years ago, a lot of properties actually removed their bathtubs and made bigger double-headed showers or bigger shower
yeah.
enclosures. And at that time, the decision was taken to leave our baths. And thankfully, we got through that very bad drought. With the help of our guests, everybody was asked just to conserve water, and they came up with some creative things of putting little rubber ducks in to say, please don't make me swim and things like that. But yeah, I think a good soak in a tub is always a nice way to end off a day if you've been out on excursions or out in the
Yeah.
lagoon on a boat trip and come back and have a nice hot soak and a glass of bubbles in the bath. I think that's the perfect way to end a day.
I was also thinking that it differentiates between people that want instant gratification, like that of a shower, or somebody who's
Yeah.
prepared to have delayed gratification. You've got to run the bath, you've got to check the temperature. So there's a whole, almost not quite a ceremony involved, but there's a ritual in running a bath, which you don't do with a shower. You just turn on the shower, step in, rinse off and step out type of thing. I know some people who get into a shower, then get into a bath, then get back into a shower, which I've never understood. But
Sounds,
anyway,
that sounds like hard work.
it is, and it's a waste of water. This is the
Well,
other
that's,
side
yeah.
of the accommodation with this little seating area, which leads off to the bathroom at the back up that passage, and in front of this is where you'd sleep.
Correct. Yeah. So, as I said, these rooms, each room is different, because of the nooks and crannies of the hotel. So every room has all the same facilities depending on the
Hmm.
room type, but the layout may be a little different. And what's incorporated in this wing, you've got that beautiful. You can see that original brick wall from the
Yeah.
heritage of the building incorporated with your more modern look and the little kitchenette and all of that. It all fits. It somehow all works together. I'm not a design person. We have very clever people for that. But they've done it so well, to make the old and new mesh together
Yeah.
for,
Well,
people here, heritage site museum, living museum, and they think chintz curtains and old fuddy duddy, and we're far from
over
that.
overstuffed couches that you with plastic over them so that they don't get ruined. Were the walls, with the brick walls, were they always exposed, or was this something that the hotel did to you know to accentuate the heritage of the building?
um, That is a question I'm not 100% sure, but I think that they were always exposed. The ones
Okay,
that are exposed now, yes.
right. And then your staff are on the ball. They really and truly are. And it's wonderful to be served by smiling faces and people who know what they're doing. Make a great cup of coffee there, I must say.
Well, I have to say this lady that is in this picture is one of a success story. We love to see people develop and move up. She joined us as a what we call a runner in season, just literally to clear plates.
Hmm.
And she's now one of our bar ladies 18 months later.
That's
And she's been and
wonderful.
done a little course on a barista course. We sent her on to do some cross training, and she's doing fantastically. So, yes, we've got our team members who've been here for many, many years. We've got some that come and go. But it's these success stories when you see somebody who started here as a I've never worked before and I just
Mm.
need a job cleaning plates for the holidays, and now she is
Yeah.
permanently on the team.
Because the hotel's been going, what now?
Just on
15 years.
15 years, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It opened in 2010,
August,
reopened
August, yeah.
in 2010. Yeah. Again, just another view of the pool because it's a pool and it's nice lighting and people can swim in it. Don't need a
And
reason.
that shows beautiful sunshine, which it's not doing today. It's raining and miserable outside.
Oh, heck, that means we're going to get it shortly.
That's
Because
one
it's
of those days to go to the spa today.
exactly. And then finally, I got up, I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and this just attracted me. But down in the bottom corner, and you can't see it in this photograph, was a furled umbrella. And I thought it was a person standing very, very still. And I stood for the longest time, also just keeping quiet because I thought, who's up at this time of the morning and how do they manage to keep so dead still without doing it? And then I realized it was an umbrella. And I have to say, I did feel a little stupid, even though there was nobody around to witness what I was looking at.
No, it's amazing the night skies. We are in a built up area, but
Mm.
still the stars are amazing here in
Yeah.
Knysna on a nice clear night. And when it's not raining and the moon's out, it's always a beautiful sight.
Kate, is there a right and a wrong season in Knysna, or can people come all year round?
It's very much an all year round. Obviously, you have your holiday seasons, which is school holidays and over those sort of festive seasons when it gets very, very busy.
Mm.
Um, but for me to come, if I was traveling, and I think maybe because I've worked in the industry so long, if I traveled to go out of season when there's nobody around is the best time for me to travel. Um, but there is no season. Obviously, winter, the weather's a little unpredictable. But I think that just adds to the story of Knysna.
Mm.
You think of the heritage, you think of those ships coming through the heads, not
Yeah,
knowing what they were coming into. And you go, wow, can you imagine one of these windy, rainy days with the mist rolling through the heads? And that's what they were experiencing.
yeah.
Yes, it can sometimes be a little windy and rainy, but hey, so can other places. Everybody's got their quirks.
I was
But
about to
if
say,
it is that's why we've got the spa. That's why we've got a beautiful bar area. There are loads of things to do
mm,
if the weather's not great out there.
yeah, yeah. If people want to find out more about the Turbine Hotel, Boutique Hotel and Spa, to give it its correct name, where do they go?
Just Google the Turbine Hotel and find our website, and all the information's there. And if anybody's got any questions, then our contact number's on the website, and just give us a call. We're always happy to help.
Wonderful stuff. And before I let you go, I have to know why you chose that particular place to sit for our chat with those huge chains hanging behind you.
This is the wrecking ball moment. so, so
You and
I'm in
Miley,
the pub.
I was
I'm
going to
in the
say, I'm
pub.
waiting for you to
Um,
do your Miley Cyrus impersonation and come swinging across the
it
street.
it has happened. Not me, but it has happened. Um, well, I was looking for a spot that had a little bit of our heritage in the background and
Fair
wasn't going to
enough.
be really noisy. And breakfast is getting busy downstairs, so I couldn't do it in the main area. So I came and hid in the pub, and just as it would have it, the windows opposite me, and this was the best light, and the changes added to the
Wonderful.
story.
Kate, thank you so very much. I've been talking with Kate Christie, who's the general manager of the Turbine Boutique Hotel and Spa in Knysna. Kate, thank you very much for joining me here on In Conversation With. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
It's great to be here. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon, I'm sure.